Hey guys, so it's 30 seconds after my last video, as you can probably tell by the raindrop shadows that are on my face. It is now 30 seconds later for me, but it is one day later for anybody who watched my video yesterday on New Year's Eve. And today is New Year's Day for you. And I wanted to expound on something I said in the last video. I've made other videos about this many times, so if you're somebody who's watched every one of my videos, things could get pretty repetitive, because I think they need to. I think things need to be repeated. A lot of these concepts, part of the reason why I've struggled with making this channel, because I am not exposed to the world at large all that much. I own my own business, and I'm around the same 4 people day in, day out, year in, year out, pretty much. And, I have my family. They're pretty much the same as always. And that's it. I don't really do anything else. I don't really interact with all that many other people. And a lot of the people in my life are on the same wavelength as I am. They're already well aware of where I exist mentally. And everything that I talk about on this channel is not news to them. It's a lot of the concepts on this channel are not earth-shattering for a lot of people, but if they're not put into practice, you don't actually experience and understand and sort of move to a different mental space. And so when I make a lot of the videos on here, I'm like, this is just really elementary. Why am I bothering everybody understands this already? And occasionally I get a glimpse into the mentality of the average person, and I'm just like, wow, actually the vast majority of people are not living in this mental space. They are still in, for lack of a better term, I don't like the term victim all that much, but they're living in victim mentality. They don't think they have much influence or control over anything. And they do still think like this is all about just getting stuff, whoever else, whatever. The average mentality of the person I'll just say in America is, they need to hear this stuff. And so I've struggled a lot with making that, just because I feel like this stuff is so elementary, but and while it is, it bears repeating, because you have to, I think about it before you can start to let it sort of work in your life, and you can start to notice the truth of all of this stuff relating to you and your mentality creating your reality. So all of that to say, I've made videos about this before, but I'm going to keep talking about it. I know I've made a specific video about this topic, but I want to talk about it again because it's applicable to a lot of things. Huge truck just pulled in next to me. Now it's really dark in there. There you go, buddy. Good job. No! Stop. Oh my God. Okay. What I wanted to talk about is manifesting generally with the proper specificity. Because you hear a lot about being very specific about manifestations, and you also hear a lot about being general with manifestations, and there seems to be camps that are at war with each other about which one's right and things like that, and it's so dumb. It's so dumb. There's not really a right way to do things, but I think there is a way, in my opinion, there is a way to do things where you will get the best of both worlds when you allow things details that don't really matter to you to be filled in for you, by your higher spirit or whatever is doing it. That's where things are really magical and everything is really perfect. And I was thinking about this because right now I'm in this state. This happens every so often. The last time I was here, this scares me a little bit. The last time I was here was about 2 weeks before COVID hit. God, please, I hope this is not prescient in any way. I've been sort of existing in this place where I'm constantly feeling this sense of, I want to say gratitude, but I really hate that word. It's another word that's just been destroyed by New Age people. I'm just in a feeling of constant sort of wonder and appreciation and satisfaction with how a lot of my life is currently set up. Specifically my business. And that's, I think that's sort of my greatest success story with manifestation. And so I wanted to just sort of briefly talk about I think, the right way to set an intention to have something come about perfectly. And I did this with my business. And what I did was essentially, this was actually even before I read the book, The Science of Getting Rich, which is, in my opinion, the best manifesting book out there. It is straightforward, and it is short, and it is just perfect. If I actually made the audio series a couple years ago, it is free and linked below. But when I was broke and I wanted to start moving in the direction of having wealth, it was a step-by-step process that took place over about a decade. But what I did the entire time from start to finish, even as it moved through different phases of refining and having new desire, experiencing the new state and the new outer situation, and then saying, okay, well, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this, and then, changing it, manifesting changes. What was always present was, what do I need? What is a non-negotiable in this situation, in this direction, this area of my life? What is it that is a must-have? And what is just like, well, I think this is a must-have, but there are caveats there, or there are exceptions to this rule that could present themselves that I would be happy with. So like, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or I should say I just always felt, I never wanted to have a job. The idea of going into a job and having colleagues and sort of doing the same thing every day and making a steady paycheck, I can totally see why that appeals to a large number of people. And it appeals to brilliant people and capable people who would absolutely have no problem running their own business. It is totally a personal preference. A guy that I was engaged when I was in my early 20s, and when I was 20, and that person was one of the smartest, most capable people I've ever known in my life, and he is doing fabulously well, as you would expect. But he was just always like, I can't do it. That's not something I would want to, just not knowing, where my next dollar's, not having a paycheck coming in would really stress me out. And that's never really been a big issue for me. I don't know why. It just hasn't. I've never not known where my next dollar was coming from, except for one very brief period, like one day. I was like, well, I don't have any money coming in, and now I don't have this, whatever I was relying on. I got to go get a job. And I went out and got a job the same day, whatever I could get. I got a job. That lasted for 4 months. And that was the only job I've had since I was 20. I'm 45 now. So, what I'm trying to say is that, what you choose isn't necessarily any indicator of any kind of character flaw or something like that. But so I didn't want to have a job. That was something that I felt pretty strongly about. But even though I knew I didn't want to have a job, there were some caveats there. I was like, the reason I don't want to have a job largely is because I want to be able to make my own schedule. I feel very claustrophobic if I'm on somebody else's clock and I have to be in a certain space during this period of time, like from 9 to 5. That just, even talking about it, I'm feeling this like anxiety rising like that. For whatever reason, it's always been that way. And so I was just like, I could be employed by somebody else. It doesn't necessarily have to be that I source all of my income myself. But that anxiety inducing situation is not something that I can deal with. So, I could be employed by somebody else, but it's got to be in a really loose fashion where I'm still like a contractor or something like that. I don't know. That was basically where I landed on that. And so it was wide open. And you know what happened? I ended up being an entrepreneur, sourcing my own income. So, I felt like that was what I wanted, but I was still open to the other idea. I didn't want to make that super rigid, and that's okay. It still didn't, it still panned out the way I wanted it to, the way I thought it would. So, being open to other things that you don't necessarily think would be ideal, I think is helpful, because There's this feeling of resistance that comes up anytime you're trying to do something that you haven't already been able to do successfully. There's always resistance there in some form or fashion. That's why it's not manifesting. And so, in my opinion, coming up with something that the things that you absolutely need, you should feel no resistance to the idea of something manifesting for you. And so you go through in whatever area of your life you're trying to manifest something, you could make a big, long list of all the things that you want, and then just go through them one by one and say, it's helpful. Look at this list and say, if everything else was here, would this thing have to be here? Is there a situation that I can imagine where this area of my life would manifest something very satisfying, and this line item is not there? That's a good and easy way to figure out if you actually need the things you think you want. It's not to say that you're not going to get everything you want, or that you can't have everything you want, but you need to know yourself well enough to say, what is it that I actually need? Because when you whittle this list down to your needs, that idea becomes very solid. When the more details and requirements and everything that you tack onto something, the bigger and more nebulous and more elusive that thing will begin to feel to you. If you can do all of that and it doesn't feel elusive, then okay, you're an exception. For the average person, this is going to be really helpful. It's going to be really helpful to whittle down your requirements to the things that absolutely must be there. Those things are going to create a feeling. So if you're manifesting a person, and you make this big list, and you really, truly consider it, and you don't just do this as an intellectual exercise, you look at it and you say, if I found a person that was completely loyal and always makes me laugh, and that I have crazy awesome sex with, and that wants to get married and have kids. If I found a man that had those 4 bullet points. Now imagine those 4 bullet points as a person. You can feel that, you can feel that person. Now you go down the rest of your list and say, okay, does he really have to have a college degree? If I had that person and he didn't have a college degree, would it really matter? Does that matter to me? If I had those 4 things, but this person really struggled to ever make any money and was kind of like an artist type who, hates the man and makes $10,000 a year, can I live with that? Shit, no, I really can't. I really have to be with somebody that I know can provide for my kids. Okay, well, now you just found another bullet point. So now you add that bullet point to the other things you need, and that creates a different type of feeling for a person. You know what? I think a lot of you, if you do this, you're going to be very surprised at how, if you actually feel the feeling of what this specific set of traits for a person feels like to you, I think you're going to be really surprised at somebody who's just like that popping into your reality in 2 days. This shit's crazy, really. People are treating this whole manifestation thing way too intellectually. This is all about sort of diving into a feeling of something. Feeling is the secret. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I did this with my career trajectory. I just, said, what do I want? Okay, I don't want to feel anxious with work anymore. I want to have control over my life. I want to make enough money so that I don't have to have a shitty job at the mall. This is when I was 19. And from there, obviously, the requirements I had when I was 19 are not the same as the requirements I have at 45. Over the years, it evolved as each set of requirements was allowed to then begin to create an outer opportunity, an outer experience and circumstance. Then it was able to be refined. Some of the things that you think you require right now, you're probably going to figure out that you don't. Even, you know, when you go down your list of the perfect man or something, you might manifest that guy and spend a year dating him and then go, wow, you know, I've really got to have somebody who works with me in this way that I didn't know until I had a new experience and a new perspective. So people that are manifesting the specific thing that they think they know they want, especially if you're really young, I wouldn't go that route. First of all, I don't think it works all that well. I mean, how many manifestation failures are there out there? I've basically been 100% successful with the way that I am describing all of this stuff. In fact, it's so reliable, I don't even worry about it anymore. You know, I don't even worry about not having things anymore because the process is so simple and easy and reliable. But for me, it's also usually mostly general, you know. The details that I don't know for sure, I don't consider even. I don't even really think about it. I just leave it up to whatever higher aspect of me or God or whatever is orchestrating and creating all of this stuff, because it also seems to have the effect of bringing me exactly what I need in order to refine things to move forward. And that's just pretty amazing. You know, a lot of the time I would describe my life as living in a pretty constant state of amazement. Like, I should make another video about this also. I don't think I'm going to do that today, though. I have an intention for you for 2025, and I think I will think about that today, which is New Year's Eve for me, but New Year's Day for you. I will think about that today and maybe make that tomorrow or this on the 2nd. Because as I've always said on this channel, I think I've always said this, I've been pretty consistent about this. The intention is the most powerful thing. It's created everything in the world. Look around, everything you see was an intention in someone's mind. Everything in your life was an intention in someone's mind. And intentions, general intentions, can be so powerful. They can just reveal a whole world that's right in front of you that you don't see. So I think I'll make a video about that tomorrow. Happy New Year. I hope you get everything you want this year. It's really up to you. So, but you got to hang in there, and you're here to do this. You're here to create stuff. You're here to experience stuff and change stuff, and that's what you're here for. So, for the people that are really low down, you got to stay here and do this. It's what you came for. Getting through whatever mental state you're in right now, whatever bad place you're in, getting through that is what you came here for. So you're right on time. You're right where you're supposed to be. And my battery just told me I have a low battery. I don't know if this stopped recording. Anyway, have a great day.